Every young person should be brought to imagine that there's a horizon of greatness that only they can reach. That doesn't mean everyone's going to be John Keats or Bach or Churchill or whatever, but it does mean that if you depress the perceived value of the asset of the subject, what you're doing is you're squandering the capital.
Just the treasury of knowledge and techne and episteme, all of the inheritance we have from our ancestors. We often fail to appreciate that. Like the common example I like to share is like, just go stand in front of your refrigerator and marvel that you have a device that can keep calories stable in a cold box or a frozen box in the case of a freezer for months, years. That's amazing. That is actually amazing. And you didn't do anything. I mean, you may have bought the refrigerator, but you didn't invent the refrigerator. And so we all like participate in and enjoy all of this inheritance of knowledge. And so when you were saying like discovering that inheritance, like you might actually be broke and think, oh, I don't have any money, but it's like you are living in the greatest time in human history. Like it's as good as it's ever been. I mean, sure, we have our challenges, we have our own issues as every age does, but technologically, standard of living, world population, all of these things are as good as they've ever been. So it's so important to remind people of that.
It's certainly a stance of gratitude. A stance of gratitude is essential, I think, to rightly positioning yourself in the world.
Yes.
It's a hard lesson and one I easily forget, to be frank. But first of all, you're a receiver of these things.
Right.
You become aware of the value of this thing that you did nothing to earn.
And inspires you to become a giver, I think, too, right?
I think that's the
you
other side.
You want to pay it forward. Yeah.
So, I don't say much more other than that, the program goes for 2 months. It starts on the island of Samos, where Pythagoras is from. We make a hike up to Pythagoras' cave, where he first taught his students, his disciples. It's the island of Epicurus. They swim in the Sea of Homer. We make a trip to Patmos, where the words of the book of Revelation were inspired to St. John. They go to Ephesus, and then on the Peloponnese to Delphi, Mycenae, the land of Homer, and all sorts of other places, and all the while pushing extremely hard in their mastery of Greek. But then finally, and not least in some respects, it's most important, they become friends with those they are going on this great adventure, summiting this mountain with. And so by the time they conclude those 2 months, the fire is burning very bright in them, but also in their relation to each other. And so the cohort, the group of students, comes to the rest of the program, which we could maybe talk about later, which is in Savannah for the remaining 7 months. The next 3 of the 4 quarters are there, and some comes to their exams at the end of the year in May. But I say all of that because the program that you asked me to describe is this very immersive beginning point that is meant to connect our students directly. I mean, I think we infantilize.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look through history, I mean, William Pitt the Younger was, Prime Minister of England at 22? I mean, John Keats was dead by the time he was 28? I mean, every young person should be brought to imagine and to know that there's a horizon of greatness that only they can reach. That doesn't mean everyone's going to be John Keats or Bach or Churchill or whatever, but it does mean that if you depress the perceived value, if I can put this way, of the asset of the subject by teaching the person that they're not worth anything, that there's no role they could fulfill, or there's nothing they could do until they're much older. What you're doing is you're squandering the capital, which is of infinite value, not only to all of us, but to them and for their realization, precisely because you've closed down in advance the possibility of their realization. So I suppose what we're really trying to do, it has nothing to do with Greek. I mean, yes, I fully believe that we need to have people who have access to these languages, because otherwise we can't access our own past. It's like not being able to, it's like trying to build the house, you don't know the blueprints or something like that. But ultimately for the student, it's about awakening in them through this very great challenge, their direct relation to what is highest and best.
Beautiful. Wow. This is why I get so excited when I hear you talk about that. It's so cool. And it's like, that is the idea of the university, right? In its purest form, is to take that asset of youth that you're describing, right? We all only get it once, and you're just bursting with energy and intelligence. Like, you're coming online as a person and channeling yourself, right, in a direction. The university is to expose you to the universals and then allow you to then choose a path to kind of really specialize in. But somehow the modern university has just become just the specialization part. The minutest sense of kind of universal education. You still get mathematics in school and whatnot, but we didn't read Euclid's Elements, for instance. Something like very foundational geometric text, but also teaches you how to think from axioms and deduce. And so there's all these fundamental things we've just completely lost in modern education.
Definitely.
And so I love that you guys are just basically taking the hard zig over here, just zigging this direction and be like, let's go back to the roots. And then tying in the whole idea of immersion, the communitas with other people, like you're immersing them in the reality of the origin story, not just reading it in a book, but you're actually putting them in the place. And there's something magical about that, you know, probably something beyond even our own understanding, that those places have a life of their own or a memory of their own. And to immerse yourself in that it's more than education.